Simplicity is hard to build, easy to use, and hard to charge for. Complexity is easy to build, hard to use, and easy to charge for. Chris Sacca. My friends, that is our experience here at our channel. We have worked so hard to make this as simple as it is to use. And of course, you notice that we don't charge you for any of this. And those who stick with it, of course, we get rave reviews from. The problem is, most people want to make everything complicated. They want to spend lots of money on expensive courses. They're promised the moon. They get frustrated and stop. And all we say is spend 10 to 15 minutes each and every day, and you will be able to master this. How long will it take? I can't tell you. It really depends on how quickly you get it. It may take you a while, but don't worry about it, because once you master the markets, you'll make up for every minute you ever spent. So practice trade with us. Learn how this works. Be patient with yourself. Those of you who play music like I do, and you've learned one or more musical instruments, you know that if you try to rush it, it doesn't work. And all those millions of people who've tried to learn an instrument and they just can't stick with it. It's the hardest thing for people to do, perseverance. But if you persevere, you will achieve. Let's jump into these charts. We see everything up for the day but Bitcoin. And don't forget Patreon members. We've already put out for you at the Patreon page, did that a day or two ago. We put out charting cryptos, commodities, and I added currencies in there for you. These ETFs, the Swiss franc, the English pound, the euro, the Aussie dollar, the Canadian dollar. You'll get a kick out of that. So check that out. We'll launch all of that for everybody tomorrow. But again, thanks for joining us. Let's jump into these charts. What's up with the S&P 500? Up 0.95% for the day. Nice green candle. Remember, it's a shortened week, so we might not get the same volume as we have in these other weeks, but we can see where things rolled up, pushed down above on this half-day chart, the weekly trend line, and then, of course, popping up on Thursday. We can see this latest two-day chart, which, of course, is Wednesday, Thursday, and, of course, it's heading up. So, again, things moving in the right direction, just continue. We had that slide for 3 weeks or so, and then these last 3 weeks heading up. Now, even more so for the NASDAQ 100, we had that sideways slide for almost 4 weeks there. And then for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, just continuing to build. That's good to see, particularly if you've been in that trade since we saw things spike with this green spinning top and then move up and then just keep on a moving. If you'd have jumped in at this week at the highest point, the worst place you could have jumped in, at $315.25, what would it have done for you now? Well, the high this week, hell, the low this week was $333.15. So that's over, what is that, $17 in this amount of time with this clean chart? Beautiful, isn't it? And again, what does it take? It takes practice, my friends. Practice trading doesn't cost you a thing but 10 to 15 minutes a day. That's all we ask. Can you do it? Most people can't. And we just write them off and let them go off somewhere and pay a lot of money to learn nothing except to get ripped off. Let's move on. What do we see going on with bonds? Well, bonds, again, bounced off what we see as this little ceiling that we've identified, multiple points where bonds have pushed up to it and rolled back. Well, they did that last on the week beginning the 3rd of April. And then, of course, inevitably slid over. Now, we have a doji this week right now. That's what we have. We can see that it is sitting right there on the middle of the trend line on the weekly chart. We can see the 2-day pushing through it. Half day is pushed through it, popped up in the morning, staved off a little bit of that in the afternoon, just up for the day 0.13%. So we'll keep our eye on bonds and see if this move has ended. We don't know that it has. Again, we don't have any telltale signs yet. It's not pushed way up through, but we are paying attention for a potential end of it. Don't know that's going to happen. Could roll back over. So we'll watch, wait and see, particularly how the week ends and then how the new week begins. What about gold? Gold also pushing up some after going down for 2 weeks. And this week still have a red candle there. So we'll keep our eye on things and see if gold's down move is going to stop. We can see where, we had things on gold at that $183.40 something mark, 183.50 we'll say, pull back up. We're below that now, so let's keep an eye on it. We can again see where it's pushing through on the half day, not yet on the 2-day chart. So we'll wait, watch, and see. Maybe we'll know more tomorrow on Friday. And of course, we'll give you the review and forecast as we end the week tomorrow. Now, what do we see going on with Bitcoin? Rolling back down a little bit, 0.74%. But again, hoping, waiting, watching. Those of you who are Patreon members, you can go ahead and access the Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies, where we talk about just the fact, as I've said many times, we want to see these crypto charts give us some kind of chart that looks more like the S&P 500 going from red to green to red to green, where you can actually follow it. Because why? We have to have charts that we can follow to track and to practice trade. If we don't have that, it's like throwing darts at a dartboard. And again, what will we say? That's not even accurate. There are people with skills at throwing darts. This is difficult. Whatever your skill set is, it's more like gambling. It's more like rolling dice. Do I get in? Do I get out? How long do I stay in? Who knows if you can't read the chart? And again, we want a weekly chart that we can track most of all. Why? Because that's where the big money is. The big moves, the moves like we talked about on the S&P 500 of $17. I mean, on the NASDAQ 100, if you'd gotten in at the worst point back when it crossed over going up, that'd have been the high, 315.25 up to that was the NASDAQ that I gave you earlier. If we look at where we've been on the S&P, the high 409.70, the high this week, 420.70. That was the close. The high, 422.92. I tell you what, that's pretty nice in anybody's book. But to do that on Bitcoin, very hard to do because the chart is so hard to track. So I keep saying I want to see Bitcoin go down for a while and then cleanly move back up again. When it gets back to the way it was when we could track and practice trade it many, many months ago, that was nice. So hopefully we'll continue to follow it, wait, watch, and see if that happens. That's why we're being patient. And when it does, if it does, it probably will at some point, we'll be ready to go. That's where we are, folks, as we end the day. I will be putting out the weekly vertical crossovers as soon as I get all this uploaded for you. I'll be putting that out for the Patreon members. And also the 3-wave trades. Those are the stocks and ETFs that we curate each week and talk to you about, just to give you some additional things to look at and to practice trade. That's available to our Patreon supporters. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, first thing you get when you sign up is our 3-part series, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. You want to learn options? We've got the easiest way for you to do it. Just be a Patreon supporter. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.